everybody! So in today's video I'm going to teach you how you can take the blade that you just recently made in the previous video that you watched and showing you how you can heat it up to be able to harden the metal so that it can be used for normal wear and tear. And we are going to be heating the blade in a slower method because I do not have to forge it in fire to bend it out to form the metal. The metal was already formed, so all we got to do is be able to temper it to harden the metal so that it can be used for normal use. So let's begin. Okay, everybody, welcome back. And as you can see, here is my blade fully polished, drilled out, and pre-sharpened already. But now all we need to do is to temper it to basically harden it. Now the steel is already hardened as it is, and it can be used like this, but if you hit something too hard you will bend the blade and chip the edge. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to be cooking the blade between 500 and 600 degrees in our conventional oven because you want to slowly heat the blade up. If you heat the blade too fast you will warp the blade. So the conventional ovens or oven styles containers are the best methods for heating the blades up to temper them so that they do not warp on you. So I am going to be cooking it at about 550 degrees for about 2 hours or until it is an even color, which should be about a bluish purple color. And once the entire blade is that solid color, then you know your metal is ready. So let's put it in the oven and let's begin the process. So since it's ideal to heat the blade evenly as possible, I am going to be putting it on this rack here right now before I even start the oven. And then we are going to shut it and we are going to bake this thing at 550 degrees. Because I'll do it halfway between 5 and 6 so that we can be able to get a good hardened color, but not too, well, 525 I guess is the highest we can go, so we're cooking it at 525. So here we go. So now, like I was saying, is the blade's going to be now a slightly more purplish than a bluish purple color, but it's okay. The lower the temperature, the harder the blade, the better it can keep its edge, but the more brittle it is. The higher the temperatures, the blades are too soft. But the ideal temperature for swords are between 500 and 600 degrees from what I can research, because that is about the flexibility of a leaf spring for your vehicles. And that is a good flexibility yet strength for sword fighting and for use of blades and weapons. So now we are just going to cook it and we're going to let it change its color. And once it's fully changed its color, then we are going to be taking it out and to be letting it cool down so we can wrap it up with leather. Okay, our oven has hit its optimal temperature, the highest it can go, which is 525. I've got my timer set for 2 hours or until the blade changes, and we have the blade in there getting nice and warm. So we are going to come check in on it in an hour to see exactly what color it is and how it is going. Hello everybody, welcome back to Lotus Operations, and it has been officially a little bit over an hour since I have begun cooking my blade at 525 degrees. So let's see what it is looking like so far. So as you can see, the blade is beginning to turn a purplish color. It is hard to exactly tell the full color of the blade yet, but the entire thing is not a full solid color yet. So we know that the blade is not heated all the way through with every single atom is at 525 degrees. So we're going to allow it to heat up for another hour, and then we are going to check the color once again. So I will get back to you when okay, everybody, the cooking has officially ended. So we are going to do a quick look at the blade and see exactly how this puppy is looking. But all you need to do is cook the blade at 525 for 2 hours and it is good to go. And as you can see here, the entire blade is a nice, pretty, even color all the way down on both sides. And as you can see, so then that means that the blade is evenly heated through and through, all the way down. So what we are going to do is now we are going to cancel our oven and allow the blade to slowly cool down. You do not want to quickly cool down your blade when you are tempering it. That is only in the initial forging of the blade. When you're tempering it, you want to allow the blade to cool down as slow as possible so that it will align properly, and not align it, but all the atoms align properly, and that it becomes its hardest yet most malleable for the temperature that you cooked it at. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Lotus Operations, and as y'all saw earlier, we officially cooked the weapon blade in my oven. So now we are going to begin to wrap it up with leather. You do not have to use leather for your handle. You can use whatever you want, whether you want to leave it metal, whether you want to wrap it with leather, whether you want to use wood, whether you want to use different types of metal on top of that. It is totally up to you. Now this part is up to your creation, but I'm going to use leather, so I'm going to cut my strips of leather. I'm going to pin this in, wrap it up, and then we are going to give it a test swing. And then once you get it fully wrapped, you'll get your final pin into the leather. Once you figure out where it is, if I realized that I cut it the exact length I needed, I could have took this and put it here, but I didn't. So I'm just going to put one a little bit below it in that there. Snap it on. Then we are going to hammer it down. Then what you do afterwards, you got all this loose leather left. You want to trim up, not too close, but you want to trim it up just enough to where I should have covered this up, so that would not have been exposed there. Covered it up. But you want to just take this thing and you want to make it look pretty. Now, before I actually cut the tree, I wanted to get some fine sandpaper and take off the bluing, because it will come off with time, so I decided to take it off. As you can see, the back is here still blue. The front is a little bit of fine sandpaper to give it a little bit of a gleam and a shine. But here is the official final product. But I want to show you how sharp it is, because you don't want it razor sharp. Too sharp will actually chip the blade, but you want it to basically be sharp enough to where you can take a piece of paper, and I will use a piece of paper as my example. And you want it to be able to cut the piece of paper, and then that is a preferred sharpness for this here. So basically you just want to do this, and you gotta be able to hold it, and you want to be able to just take this to where it goes down and cuts the paper. If it can cut the paper, it's actually a pretty decent sharpness. So now let's go test this blade against our tree. And here is our pour test tree for all the stuff we've been doing. And as you can see here we go. Here. And as you can see, it is a really decent in chopping palm trees. And there is no chipping of the blade whatsoever. And let's test that section back with a piece of paper again. And it was this section of the blade we used. And it is still keeping its edge and sharpness for better future time frames. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. So this is how you can make a crude weapon in case shit hits the fan. You never know if you're going to need to make one. Yeah, they're not the prettiest in the world, but they do get the job done. As you can see, cut a palm tree, and a palm tree is pretty freaking hard bark, and it had no issues going through it, and it sliced the paper with no problem. So I hope y'all have fun. Lotus Operations out, and like and subscribe. And there you go. We've got a nice sharp blade.